I'm Steve Myers. I've been a Franklin County resident all my life, most of that here in Pacific, and born and raised here, fourth generation Pacific. My family has been, I guess, anchors of this community for a long, long time, and it's an honor and a privilege for me to have served 4.5 years as an alderman, and then elected to alderman, and then most recently for the last year and 7 months plus as the mayor. So I'm now the mayor of Pacific, and we're getting a lot done. Have a lot of progress that's already been accomplished, and a greater to-do list to tackle. So that's me. I'm a business owner, a small business owner of an outdoor advertising company that I've operated and owned for 18 years, and we do everything from graphic design to production and installation of the signs and maintenance on billboards about a 50-mile radius all around us, the big signs you see on the highway. It keeps me pretty busy.
Yeah. Now, Pacific's located west of St. Louis on, I think it's exit 257. I think you guys might even have more exits now.
Oh, we're 257 if you're heading west from St. Louis, and 256 if you're heading east.
Now, that's a new one, right?
That is a new interchange for the eastbound access.
Now, I grew up in Pacific. I don't know if people even know that, but the town lies right outside Six Flags, and it's a very interesting dynamics of you have a lot of workers that work in the city and then live in Pacific, and it's got quite the history there with the railroad and the river. I'm sure your family goes back quite a ways on some of that history.
Well, there's an amazing amount of history. There's we're known as Train Town, USA. We have about roughly 80 trains a day come through Pacific. We have two sets of tracks. One is Burlington Northern and the other Union Pacific that merge here. That gives us a kind of a unique history, because the town, because it was a railroad community, was really a target of the Confederates whenever the Civil War occurred. Towards the end of the war, there was a battle that was fought here. Pacific marks the spot the closest the Confederates got to taking over the arsenal in St. Louis, but they figured that if they got the railroad, control of the railroad, they control the war. So the town was actually named Franklin at that time, and the voters voted it to change the name to Pacific after the Civil War. So that's a big part of our history. We got a lot of river history. We had a lot of the Meramec was known for its gravel content and the quality of the Meramec sand and gravel. So there was a quarry that was opened up here. My grandfather actually worked at for a while.
I've been told that's some of the finest sands in the country.
Well, that's the U.S. silica. What was formerly Pioneer's silica sand is now U.S. silica. We have the richest deposits of St. Peter's silica sand in the world, right here in Pacific. We have a lot of industry. You mentioned some of the fact that we have a lot of commuters that go into St. Louis, and that's true, absolutely true. But we have a lot of industry here in Pacific now that employs many people around our region. We have Clancy Staging is a company that's anchored here that provides stages to the stars, basically, country music, rock music. They're the ones that go in and set up a stage at the Superdome or Super Bowl games during halftime, and then tear it down. They got 5 minutes to set it up and 5 minutes to tear it down. They're anchored here.
When you talk about companies there in Pacific, and something people probably use every day and never even notice, I'm not sure if it's still there, but Husky with the gas pumps.
Absolutely.
You see those all over, everywhere.
Grenville Sutcliffe, the owner of Husky, is a great friend of mine, and they are worldwide distribution. Born and bred right here in Pacific. Everything's made. They have a great manufacturing facility. They just put a big addition on just a few years ago. We have Plays Manufacturing, that is a major employer. I mean, I could list a whole bunch of them. Aurora Technologies, but we have a great industrial base here in Pacific, and it's just growing.
Can you talk about, I guess, what makes that happen? I mean, obviously you got the interstate, and the rail allows a lot of transportation to take place, as far as probably with the sand facility and some of these bigger things. But can you just talk about the uniqueness of having those, that infrastructure, I guess, set in place? I mean, you guys are close to St. Louis. How's the internet coming out? Is that, you got high speed, I'm assuming, in some places? And
Well, we do. We have a great internet access here. We have highway access as well. Highway 44, our proximity to it is extremely close. We're right on the highway, as well as our proximity to St. Louis, and then I-70 make us a major corridor for trucking industry to be able to access our city. The founding fathers of the community over the years built a great industrial core. We have 2 industrial parks, another one that's now growing. They've just built a 20,000-foot building, and it's sold within months of being built, and now they're building another one, a little larger actually. There's a tremendous amount of interest right now in terms of developers coming out here and acquiring property, because they know that Pacific, we actually straddle the Franklin-St. Louis County line, and the majority of our property is in Franklin County, where there is a lower tax base, where there is a lower crime rate. We have a lot of blessings because of that, that we have a lot of folks that are interested in coming out here and acquiring property, that have done major projects successfully all around the St. Louis market. We are one of the next best growth areas in the region. So we're very well strategically positioned for companies who are looking to have a great access to the highway, great access to rail, as well as a lower tax burden placed on their company.